Scary cults are a topic that has dominated true crime media for many years. So many of us are fascinated with the secrets behind how real cults work and how a single cult leader manages to persuade so many people to join. Dangerous cults like the Manson family are known for their heinous true crimes. But what about the lesser-known cults that are possibly linked to mysterious disappearances? These are the scariest stories of people who went missing after stumbling upon real cults, and also people who belonged to cults and went missing while trying to escape. Number 5. In 1982, 28-year-old Diego and 40-year-old Carmen Garcia were living on Division Street in Glasses Park, Los Angeles, California, and Carmen's mother lived upstairs. The couple would soon vanish without a trace in one of the strangest cult stories that remains unsolved many decades later. On March 15th of that year, after Carmen and Diego had eaten breakfast together, Carmen's mother came downstairs to find her daughter crying. She never asked her why she was crying and went back upstairs shortly thereafter. At around noon, Carmen and Diego bundled themselves into their brown 1977 Toyota Corolla and left their home for what would be the last time ever before they both mysteriously disappeared. Carmen's mother became worried when her daughter was still missing that evening. Carmen and Diego had taken no clothes or personal items with them, and the family's dog was still in the home. Days later, Carmen and Diego were still missing, with absolutely no leads behind their disappearance to be found. It's unknown whether Carmen's mother was the one who eventually reported the two missing with the Los Angeles Police Department, but soon an investigation was underway. On April 25, 1982, the 1977 Toyota Corolla that belonged to Garcia was found in a gorge in the San Gabriel Mountains near Big Pines in California. According to official reports, the car had been abandoned 500 feet down the gorge, and it had been completely buried under 5 feet of snow. The top of the car had caved in, but there was no evidence that Diego or Carmen were inside at the time. This was beginning to look like a true crime story, and investigators were wondering what happened to the couple. There had been whispers around town before the Garcias disappeared that Carmen had become a Latter-day Saint and was allegedly involved in a religious cult that engaged in ritualistic practices. Detectives have never been able to confirm if this scary cult story was true, but the Garcias are one of 4 couples to mysteriously vanish in that area around the same time. What struck investigators as bizarre was that the road where the missing car had been found had been closed since March 16th, the day after they disappeared. Investigators believed that the car was purposefully dumped there by an unknown person, but have never been able to confirm whether this was the work of Diego and Carmen or a third party, possibly even people who had joined the religious cult. Since their mysterious disappearance in March of 1982, their case has run cold, and there have been very few leads and no other cult stories. There have been very few alleged sightings of Carmen over the years that investigators have never been able to confirm. Carmen and Diego's families are now desperate to find out what happened to them, and are appealing to anyone with information to come forward. In his missing person report, Diego Garcia is described as a Hispanic male with black hair, brown eyes, and 5 foot 4 inches tall and 150 pounds. Carmen Garcia is described as a white Hispanic female with black hair and brown eyes, 5 foot 6 and 210 pounds. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Los Angeles Police Department Adult Missing Person Unit at 877-275-5273, quoting case number 825-83077. Number 4. In 1983, Craig Lawrence Allen, born into a Jewish family, decided to become a Christian, quit his job as a computer analyst in Boca Raton, put everything he owned into storage, and became homeless to get away from the perceived evils of the world. Friends and family were confused about the sudden fundamentalist change in Craig, and later they told detectives that he could be found living at campgrounds, beaches, and anywhere outdoors. By August 14th of 1993, He's believed to have strangely disappeared into the wilderness of the Everglades National Park. After becoming homeless, Craig would regularly call his parents and other family members from payphones so that they would know he had not completely gone missing. Just 2 days before his disappearance, the phone calls became scary. Craig called his mother and said 2 ominous statements. The first was, "You're not going to like what I'm going to do." And the second creepy statement was, "You're not going to hear from me again." He was seen for the last time on August 14th and made a final phone call on August 15th. After that, he simply vanished without a trace. While questioning those closest to him, investigators were most intrigued by one of the stories that happened less than a month before his unsolved disappearance. Craig visited his friend in Washington, D.C. Craig's friend, who was also very religious and has never been named, suspected that Craig was literally the Antichrist. He cited many different Bible stories as further evidence that his friend Craig was actually quite a scary and evil person. This event sent Craig on a downward spiral, and he quickly went home to Florida to evaluate his beliefs. Investigators believe this experience could have made him more susceptible to joining a religious Christian cult. When Craig failed to contact his family, they reported him as a missing person, and Fort Lauderdale police opened a case. The Fort Lauderdale police discovered that on August 10th, 4 days before he was last seen, Craig had sold his car for $4,600. Since his disappearance, they've been unable to locate the storage facility where Craig left his belongings, and there have been very few leads in his case. Craig's own family suspects he joined a creepy religious cult and went missing in the woods on purpose, never to be found again. Police are not ruling out foul play, though. There's also the possibility that Craig wanted to end it all himself, possibly believing what his friend told him about being the Antichrist. Craig's family are now desperate to find out what happened to him, and are appealing to anyone with information about his unsolved case to come forward. Craig Lawrence Allen is described as a white male with brown hair, hazel eyes, 5 foot 8 inches tall, and 200 pounds. Craig has a history of convulsions and could need medical help. Anyone with information is asked to contact Patty Dube of the Fort Lauderdale Police Department at 954-764-4357, quoting case number 9433618. Number 3. The mysterious disappearance of Monica Appleton took place on October 13, 1999. She had been trying to improve not only her life, but also the lives of her children, who lived in Pampa, Texas with other family members because of Monica's past as a street worker. Despite her previous history, Monica visited her children almost daily and was trying to be a strong role model. No one would have ever suspected for her life to turn into a real horror story. Before her disappearance, Monica was seen for the last time by her mother in the 100 block of Northeast 9th Avenue in Amarillo, Texas, at around 5 p.m. on October 13th. Her mother would later tell investigators that Monica appeared to be scared or anxious, but stayed mostly silent, refusing to go back to Pampa without explanation. She would mysteriously vanish without a trace after this conversation. When Monica failed to visit her children or make contact with her family, her mother knew something was terribly wrong. According to the FindMonica.com website, which is run by her family, they unsuccessfully tried to report Monica as a missing person with the Amarillo Police Department. The Pampa Police Department was more cooperative, and an investigation into her disappearance was launched. Monica was known to have a strange relationship with a man named Ivory Teeler, aka Baby T, or just T for short. He became a person of interest after refusing to cooperate with the investigators who were assigned to solve Monica's disappearance. In 2000, Monica's mother received a haunting phone call from an anonymous source. In the scary phone call, her mother was told her missing daughter was taken to a hog farm in Amarillo, and that he was in a cult that had witnessed the entire thing. The scary person added that her missing daughter would never be found. There was never a second scary phone call. It was never proven if Ivory Teeler was the person responsible for this phone call. And decades later, the creepy mystery remains unsolved. Monica Appleton was last seen on October 13, 1999, in Amarillo, Texas. She's described as a white female with blonde hair, hazel eyes, 5'5" to 5'6", and 100 to 120 pounds. She has scars on her knees and may go by the name of Monica LaRue or Monica LaRua. Anyone with information that could help this strange mystery get solved is encouraged to contact Lance Richburg of the Pampa Police Department at 806-669-5700, quoting case number 9914321. Her family are now offering an $11,000 reward for any information that could lead to Monica's whereabouts or getting this cold case solved. Number 2. Since the 1970s, the Rainbow family has encouraged new members to join, oftentimes with creepy cult-like stories and promises about finding peace, love, and happiness. What exactly is a cult remains up for debate, but some would consider the Rainbow family to be a cult. In fact, they could possibly be connected to a mysterious unsolved disappearance that occurred in early 1995. According to some theories, 20-year-old Benjamin Richard Cannon is said to be one of the people who ended up stumbling upon the alleged cult, and was enjoying their teachings, at least until he was unable to escape its real influence. According to the Charlie Project, Benjamin was last seen at his home in the 12,600 block of Weir Street in Omaha, Nebraska, sometime in late March of 1995. His family didn't hear from him throughout the end of March and into April, and it was not unusual for Benjamin to go missing for weeks at a time, so they didn't think he could really have vanished without a trace. Only when a friend of Benjamin's came to their house to ask if they had seen him did his family consider him to be missing. According to his sister, Benjamin's family often did not get along with him. His parents wanted to have him committed to the state because they thought he had an undiagnosed mental health issue. The Omaha Police Department refused to commit him because he was a legal adult who had not done anything to necessitate it. And despite protests of the Cannon family, they refused to treat his unsolved disappearance as a missing person case until later in May of 2004. Sometime after he went missing, Benjamin is believed to have developed cultish connections with the Rainbow family. Each year, the Rainbow family gathered across the US to hold campsite festivals for spiritual practices like yoga and meditation. In 1995, Benjamin could have participated in a cult gathering in New Mexico, from which he would never escape. Subscribers to this theory note that in 2006, old human remains were found in the forest of Taos, an area of New Mexico close to where Benjamin could have been years prior. In 2009, more human remains were found in the same area, though it's unclear if they belonged to the same person as the 2006 discovery. The remains had gone undiscovered for many years, and testing revealed that they once belonged to someone in their 20s. Since his bizarre disappearance, there have been few clues and even fewer leads. 9 years had passed by the time he was reported missing, and by then it was too late to recover vital pieces of evidence to help solve the case. Benjamin's family are still hopeful that real answers are out there. Benjamin Richard Cannon is described as a white male with dark brown hair, hazel eyes, 6 foot 2 inches tall, and 180 pounds. At the time of his disappearance, Benjamin was a member of the possible cult known as the Rainbow family. Anyone with information is asked to contact Detective James Reisinger of the Omaha Police Department at 402-444-4127, quoting case number 11094-E. Number 1. Decades later, what happened to 40-year-old Johnny Clement still remains an unknown mystery. Friends and family described her as a bright and outgoing person who was well-liked at the Harpo's Sports Bar where she worked in Strongsville, Ohio. Johnny had separated from her husband years before her disappearance and had begun seeing someone new. Johnny has a condition called pulmonary fibrosis that requires regular medical appointments to keep on top of her condition. Despite her complicated medical history, Johnny was often found at baseball games with friends making the most of life. On May 27, 2001, Johnny was in good spirits when she attended the baseball game of the Cleveland Indians versus the Detroit Tigers at home in Cleveland, Ohio. She'd been unable to find a space nearby, so Johnny opted to park at the Little Bar located in the 600 block of Frankfort Avenue. As she stood against her black 2000 Dodge Neon after the game, it would be the last time anyone saw her before she would go missing. Witnesses noticed that Johnny appeared to be short of breath and possibly having medical difficulties. When she never returned home and went missing from work in the days following May 27th, her family reported her disappearance to the Cleveland Police Department. Investigators entered her apartment and found that nothing strange was missing. The Cleveland police also found that Johnny had an upcoming sentencing hearing for driving under the influence. However, her family does not believe that she would go missing simply to escape from a sentence after pleading no contest. Neither Johnny nor her car has ever been found, and expert investigators are left baffled by her unsolved disappearance. Johnny Clement, sometimes referred to as Johnny Clement Perkins, is described as a white female with blonde hair, blue eyes, 5'7" to 5'10", and 150 to 200 pounds. She has tattoos of Chief Wahoo of the Cleveland Indians baseball team on her ankle, along with a unicorn on her shoulder blade. Johnny depends on medication to control her pulmonary fibrosis symptoms. She was last seen standing beside her 2000 black Dodge Neon with Ohio plate CQY 5786. Anyone with information on this unsolved mystery is asked to contact Detective Jeffrey Grabsky of the Cleveland Police Department at 216-623-5218, quoting case number 2001-251-982. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.